Hey, Facebook. Good evening and welcome to Wednesday Night Wellness Live. I'm Dr. Andrew Merrill here at Nightlight Chiropractic. And this is our rather low-key 10-year birthday party. Hooray! Here we are. It's 10 years later. Nightlight Chiropractic turns 10 this week, and what a whirlwind it's been. It has been just amazing and crazy and weird all at the same time, and it's kind of never stopped coming. And I don't often celebrate milestones and achievements, especially for myself, but this achievement really wasn't about me. It was really about my staff who have gone out of their way day in and day out, week in, week out, giving much more of themselves than I could ever have asked. Patients like yourselves out there that have been just amazing about not only sending in your friends and family to me so that we could help us to take care of their healthcare, but also trusting us with all kinds of healthcare questions and health-related ideas. I can't say thank you enough for all of that trust that you put in us. So again, here we are. It's 10 years later, and in the vein of that 10-year anniversary of Nightlight Chiropractic, tonight we're talking about time. Right? So if you have time-related questions that maybe I can answer, I'm happy to do that. But I put together a time quiz because most of the people who watch this Facebook show are quiz junkies, and they like when I ask questions and they get to try and answer those questions. So tonight we're going to have a time quiz, and it's almost time quiz time. But give me just a minute here because we got a couple of little odds and ends that we're going to go over, but then we'll have that little time quiz. So there's tons and tons of books out there about how time interacts with the body, how time interacts with the psyche, how time interacts with man. And so after that time quiz, I'd like to share with you a little bit about a book and then an interpretation of that book that I came across online that kind of changed the way that I think about who I am and what I do, and kind of made me reflect on 10 years in a good way, a really good way. So it is now time quiz time. So get your little fingers ready, get your texting ready, because we're going to ask some questions and we're going to answer some questions. And sometimes there's a little bit of a lag. So if I seem impatient, just understand that it's because I'm incredibly impatient. And so if you are not answering these questions, then I am going to answer these questions anyways, whether you answer them or not. Anyways, thank you for playing along in advance. Here we go. Question number 1. Ready? These are all related to time again. Does the human body really replace itself every 7 to 10 years, right? There's a lot of stuff that you read out there. The human body replaces itself every 7 to 10 years. True or false? What do you think? Does your body replace all of its cells every 7 to 10 years, making you, in effect, a whole new person every 7 to 10 years? Time's a wasting. Exactly. Let's get to that time quiz. I got a no out there. I got a false. Your body does not do that. I got another no out there. Does the human body replace itself every 7 to 10 years? I got a lot of no's coming in here. So kind of a little question, but the answer is going to be true and false, because that's the way I like to roll here with questions that don't really have straightforward answers. So realistically, your cells actually replace themselves much more often than every 7 to 10 years. Right? So blood cells might be 4 months. You got 50 trillion cells, 75 trillion cells. And what happens is they all die off at certain times, but none of them live 7 to 10 years, right? Colon cells, maybe 4 days max. Something like neurons in your brain actually don't regenerate at all. So right, what you got is what you got, and once that goes, it's not coming back. So really more false than true. Your body replaces all of its cells much, much more quickly than 7 to 10 years. All of those cells change, not that you change, but all those cells change much, much more quickly, and it doesn't really change you. So first one, if you said false, it's false. Maybe not for the reason that you thought. Maybe for the reason that you thought. I don't know. Anyways, question number 2. You ready? This question pertains to the time of day that certain things happen. So here we go. The maximum alertness, the highest amount of cortisol in your body, and the best short-term memory happen in the morning, the afternoon, or the evening. What do you think? Morning, afternoon, or evening, maximum alertness, highest cortisol, and best short-term memory. I've got some contention coming in about neurons and how they regenerate. And the argument probably lies in, are we talking about central nervous system neurons or peripheral nervous system neurons, or how those axons go? Nevertheless, the question remains false, so no extra points rewarded. I'm getting some other answers in here about maximum alertness, highest cortisol, best short-term memory happen in the morning. It happens in the morning between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. according to research, and that's with or without coffee, although I always choose with coffee. But if you're going to do something important, if you have important decisions to make or tests to take, you want to do that somewhere between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. when you are most alert and most ready for kind of rapid fire question answering. So I guess it's a little bit unfair that we're having our quiz time here so late in the day, but no excuses. You should have studied because you know I do these quizzes every single Wednesday. Anyways, question number 3. Ready? According to research, some research, all right, because I know there's some contentious doctors out there who I'm going to argue it all. According to some research, question number 3, according to some research, the best time to exercise, mind you, is between noon and 3. Is it between 3 and 6, or is it between 6 and 9 p.m.? What do you think? Best time to exercise, 12 and 3, 3 and 6, or 6 and 9? Got some answers coming in here. I got an afternoon. 6 and 9 coming in. All right. I got a new player. Dr. Rojas in the house for a player. I got between 3 and 6. Best time to exercise. What do you think? Between 12 and 3, 3 and 6, or 6 and 9? Most people out there have answered. And it's kind of a trick question, right? Because I would argue that the best time to exercise is whenever you can throughout the day, just get it done. But according to some research, between 3 and 6 is the best time to exercise with increased core temperature, which is good for exercise, 6% increase in muscle strength, and then better lung performance if you look at this specific research that talks about when the best time to exercise is. So thank you for playing along here, everybody. I got another question for you, right? Question number 4 on our quiz on time. Chronic pain suffered by 8% to 12% of people worldwide is pain that lasts longer than what? 6 days, 6 weeks, or 6 months? What do you think? Chronic pain suffered by all kinds of people worldwide, pain that lasts longer than 6 days, 6 weeks, or 6 months? Days, weeks, or months? What do you think, folks? Chronic pain. Kind of by definition, but the definition is changing on how long you need to have chronic pain. I'm getting some answers in. 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 days. Oh, we've got all kinds of division here. Can't seem to come to a consensus. Still coming in. Chronic pain suffered by 8 to 12% of people worldwide is pain that lasts longer than 6 months by definition. But researchers are trying to change that to be pain that lasts longer than what we would expect that pain to be. See, the problem that we're having right now in a lot of medicine is that a typical ankle sprain would happen and we'd expect it to be good in 2 to 4 weeks. But because we have funky diets, because we have other inflammation from other sources, because maybe we're not as fit as we should be, we're ending up with extra pain that lasts longer than it should. And that weird, acute, simple ankle sprain injury is becoming chronic for no other reason than your body's not designed to fix that chronic inflammation. So right now, if you answered 6 months, you're correct by definition. But again, the argument stands. We need to make sure that we're doing everything right so that the pain that we are experiencing individually doesn't become chronic pain that doesn't have to become chronic pain. All right? So I always use these quizzes to kind of impart other little facts to you if you're playing along. Anyways, number 5, the last question that I have for the evening before, I have a different direction to go on this, our 10th birthday of Nightlight Chiropractic. Hooray. How long can you go without exercise before your body starts to lose muscle mass and endurance? Is it 2 to 4 days, 2 to 4 weeks, or 2 to 4 months? So we kind of just played this game here. I don't know if you realize, we all were just kind of stuck away from exercise in some fashion, right? I know that everyone found their own way to get around that and do some exercise. But the question of how long can you go without exercise before you start to lose muscle mass and endurance, is it 2 to 4 days, 2 to 4 weeks, or 2 to 4 months? Very interesting here, kind of what happens in the answer to this question, because it puts us all right back to could you potentially have lost a lot of your muscle mass and endurance that you might have gained throughout months and years or lifetimes of working out. And some answers are coming in here, and the answer is 2 to 4 weeks, basically. So in 2 to 4 weeks of not working out, you start to lose muscle mass, you start to lose endurance, your body kind of unadapts to those changes that you've made by doing all of your good exercise. So when you start back to your exercise, now that everything has reopened, make sure that you go slow, right? Make sure that you are diligent about the 10% rule and slowly increasing the workload that you're putting on your body so that you don't end up injured and in my office, as a lot of folks are doing right now, unfortunately. And I'm just as guilty, right? The first day back in the gym, I wanted to do it all. I was going to blow the hinges off the doors, and what ended up happening was I was really sore, and it took me 3 extra days to get back to the gym. So there's no win there. Go slow about getting back to the gym. So that's our quiz. Thank you guys for playing along. I do, like I said, I wanted to take it a different direction here just a little bit. I do a lot of reading, and I like to recommend some books to you folks. And I'd come across a book that has been out for a long time, and it's called Man's Search for Meaning by a guy named Viktor Frankl. And if you've never read this or come across this, I highly recommend that you look it up. It's a bestseller for a long, long time. This was a man who was a prisoner during World War II in Nazi concentration camps. And he talks a lot about kind of what makes a man tick and how a man can get through tough times, right? And here we are 10 years later, and there's some tough times in the world. Not here, right? I mean, the clinic operates and functions. We've been busier than ever, but in the world today, it's tough times. And so I wanted to read a quote from a guy named Richard Worzel from Future Search from 2010, right? So he had this book. He was looking at this book. He was trying to figure out how to adapt what was going on in 2010 and the struggles then to what would happen 10 years from now, right? And how 10 years would look in 2020. And so when people ask the question, I'm going to quote this, right? This is going to come straight from that. When people ask the question, what is the purpose of life? They're starting off in the wrong direction with an improperly formed question, right? And it's not a question at all, but a statement. Life is purpose, right? Without purpose, there's no life. But this raises a different question. What's my purpose, right? And this is a question that can't be answered by looking out there, but only by looking inside yourself. And again, he quotes this book directly. It's not a matter of what you can expect of life, but what can life expect of you, right? And it may be that you think your purpose is to bring home a paycheck, and that's certainly important. But I would urge you to stop and think about what life can expect of you, what you feel is your calling, and then be guided by this sense of purpose, right? And so a lot of folks out there in the world today are helping to move the needle on all their causes, and they're helping to change the world by finding their purpose and then going after it with gusto and vigor. And I would recommend that you out there do the same. Find whatever makes you tick. Find your way to help to change the world a little bit, and it's going to give your life a whole different perspective. It's going to make you see things differently in such a great way. All right. So again, going back to quote Richard Worzel from 2010, right? This is 10 years ago. The decade ahead is going to be radically, remarkably, dangerously different than any period you've lived through or have experienced with. And it's going to offer opportunities that you cannot now anticipate. If you don't have a clear sense of where you're going and why, and are not prepared for the challenges we face and the opportunities ahead, you will be devastated by what's yet to come. And I stand by that 100% going forward from here in 2020. If you don't have your eyes open and you are not looking for your place in the world to make a dent, to make a change, find that purpose, get behind that purpose with all of you, all of yourself, all of that you can muster, because it's going to do you well and allow you to get through some of the hard times that you may experience in the future. Anyways, sorry to end on such a somber note, because like I said, it is a birthday celebration of sorts. I wish I had little party hats for everyone, but unfortunately I don't. So that's all I have for this evening. Thanks everyone for coming into another Wednesday Night Wellness Live. I look forward to seeing you guys each and every week. If you ever have questions, you can always find me, Dr. Merrill at nightlightchiropractic.com, or you can go on to nightlightchiropractic.com. There's a form field to fill out. It comes directly to my cell phone if you ever wanted to reach me. Other than that, you can go to nightlightchiropracticonline.com and find our blog and all kinds of great information. It's there that you can sign up for all kinds of great information to be delivered directly to your inbox every single week. Thank you for the birthday wishes. I want all of you to have a wonderful week. Be healthy. Good night.